Start again and call to order the public hearing portion of our meeting for October 18th, 2017. We will excuse Council Member Good and go to number 1 in the public hearing section. Megan Probst requesting a rezone of a 20.5 acres parcel from A20 to RA5. Proposal is approximately 1555 west, 650 south. Thanks, Doug.
Okay, you can see the lot outline there in yellow on 650 South, and you've got the LDS Church right on Southfield Road there to the east of it. So here is Wayne Thacker's old house, right? Correct me if I'm wrong there. The LDS Church here. So the proposal is to rezone the property from A20, 20-acre minimum lot size to RA5. The lot is 20.50 acres and it'd be on well and septic. This shows the current zoning map. You can see the RA5 running up to the north here. This would be approximately the church would be right in here.
There's 650.
And that is Heber City, correct? On the other side of
This is Heber City,
Southfield
right
Road.
here.
Yeah. And what's the density there per acre?
5 per acre, something like that.
Okay.
They're doing that development, that senior development. Plus, go back to that other map.
That subdivision right there is on quarter acre lots across the road or something.
That's probably a picture you can't slide out, can you?
No.
They're working on, I think, isn't this a kind of a
Yes.
senior development? Now there's a piece right, come this way, that Mountainland Housing, Scott Loomis is acquiring. I think it's going to be right in there for affordable housing. They're going to build an affordable housing project in there, and
So this is real close.
right
to the
now
city
we're not
boundary.
putting any money into it. They are, but they're going to put our name. We'll be kind of partners
City
with
boundary
them.
right here. You can see this line right here is the bypass road.
Okay.
Right here. All right.
Is that 80? There.
You can see the little jog right here.
I know we had that offset, but do we have the same 80-foot deal across there too, don't we?
What they're going to do is they're splitting the difference to come up with the 114 somehow in here.
So that's one of the concerns Riley has. I don't know if you want to talk now or wait.
Well, why don't we wait? We'll go through the presentation and we'll hit them when we'll ask you to come up and go through it. Thank you.
So current zoning map, you've got the A20 here in the green and the RA5 here, city boundary. This is the sewer farm.
Which planning area is it in, Doug?
I'll show you that in one second.
Sorry.
This shows the planning areas. So you've got the central planning area in purple here. You've got the south planning area right here. And this is about where the piece is located right here.
So it is in Central.
It's in the central planning. This outlines the boundary for the central planning area here. This is the parcel right here.
Right on the edge, huh?
Right on the edge. The southern planning area comes up in the white like this.
What is the difference between this? You guys, sorry, it's a newbie in me. What is the difference between the south and central, and why does that make a difference?
Yeah.
One
south or the other one.
You guys seem to be excited about that.
Central is Central is 20 acre. It's Northfields.
Okay.
Same as the Northfields. This is right. We changed some of the Southfields in the Central to be 5 because.
So would we be right now be considering rezoning the North Fields?
No. This is a 5-acre piece that's in
Just
the
one
south.
20-acre piece.
So how we wording this?
20-acre piece. It's in the same planning area, but it's not in the Northfields.
The reason that's important is whenever we have a rezone, we go into our general plan, and our general plan has the whole county broken out into land use areas like the Wallsburg area, and it has specific land use regulations. So the central planning area, which is mainly the Northfields, it says that it should be open, maintained as it is existing, and should be a separation between Heber and Midway and all that type of thing. The southern planning area basically just states it's 5-acre minimums because you're on septic and well for the most part.
You get that area to perk?
I think that, well, I have a groundwater map in here too that I can go over. So this shows the boundaries of the southern planning area with the parcel there by the arrow.
Right there.
And
So southern is on, go back, 3 sides of it is southern?
southern's on, yeah, 1, 2, 3,
4.
Well, it wraps all around it.
Yeah, all right.
Did we go north of 650 with the southern planning area?
Yes, you did. The map's right.
The green's the southern, right?
This black outline is the southern.
Yeah. And that's what we changed.
So the southern's all the way
We
around
changed
it.
it on Casperville Road because all the properties along there that was improved, there's already there's all non-conforming lots. On less than 5 acres.
And we did pick up Wayne Thacker's piece then, where the house is. That's right here. I thought we had. And the Giles, the other, what's his name? The other Giles here.
Yeah.
I think this is the piece, Rick, that I don't know whether it's this one or, I think it's probably this one.
So Doug, is all the green in RA5 right now?
Yes.
There's some less dense than that or more dense?
So, well, no, this one might be A20 right here. Because I think the RA5 just is kind of a
It
thing.
did show it as just one strip. So this would be surrounded by 3 sides by A20.
By RA5. 3 sides by
If we
RA5.
changed it, it would be sided on 3 sides by A20.
Yeah.
Because it's just a little peninsula. It would be just a little peninsula of RA5 jutting out.
Here's the groundwater map. So let me see if I can find where we're at here. Right in here.
That's less than 5 feet.
That big house to the west of there, septic.
Yeah, oh yeah, it's different.
Right down on the river?
Southfield is different, but it makes a transition for sure.
I don't know, but I grabbed the septic map, which shows that area generally suitable. So
Whatever that means, so.
At Well Perk, you're saying?
well, it shows it as generally suitable. But that's just based off.
That's a very broad map.
Yeah.
Yeah, same as.
Yeah.
This is the inundation area if the dam broke. A map in our general plan. That's the bypass route from our general plan, so that parcel's right in there.
20 acres between it.
This is kind of some of the history of the zoning on the property. This is it's kind of fuzzy, but this is the 2002 zoning map. So it came along Southfield Road. This was all A20. Prior to 97, there was no acreage minimum. It was considered A1. And in 97, the A1 required 20 acres. And in 2002, it was changed from A1 to A20. But from 2002, this is how the map looked.
And when was it we changed it? When was it? I committed that, and we talked about it, and that's when we made it, some of that to
RA5.
RA5.
I should have gotten one of those zoning maps, but I'm
It
guessing
was
that's
about,
around
8 or 9. Yeah, I was on
And
the
at that
planning
time, we
commission.
talked about the North Fields.
Yep.
And the recommendation was to take it to 10.
To
at
take
that
it to
time.
10, yeah.
We never did.
That's why
anything.
we made the recommendation we did, but
When we
and
did.
then it got changed, but
Referendum.
yeah.
So this is what we use when a rezone comes in. We look at the general plan and look at what it states for that planning area. So again, this is right now in the central planning area. The general plan states, as a matter of public policy, the central planning area is to be maintained in its historical land use pattern of open meadows and river and small stream riparian habitat. The general plan states the use of this area for housing and other types of development is discouraged due to the physical constraints and the higher costs of providing governmental services. The general plan states that this area's scenic value contributes significantly to the real value of all land within the Heber Valley area. General plan states that the preservation of open space in the central planning area will also provide for a desired greenbelt separation between Heber City and Midway. The purpose section for the A20 zone states avoid excessive costs for public services in areas with high physical constraints. The A20 again states that to preserve the beauty of the entry corridors of Wasatch County, to protect the underground water supply from pollution, maintain an open rural buffer between Heber and Midway. Parcel is bordered on the east by both the RA5 zone and the southern planning area. Concern for approving the rezone could be the expansion of the RA5 zoning throughout the South Fields area. If approved, the central planning area map in the general plan should be adjusted to remove this parcel and the southern planning area map adjusted to include it. County Council, as the land use authority on zoning map amendments, has broad discretion on rezone approvals or denials. And lastly, I think this is last, any development of property would require it to go through a small-scale subdivision process. This was debated at length with the Planning Commission. There was, if I recall, there was a motion that failed for lack of second. There was discussion. There was another motion with a split vote. You have the chair who ended up voting in favor of the proposal. Commissioner Michael Smith voted for it. Wendell Rigby voted for it. And then you had 2 nays, Kent King, Kimberly Cook, and 1 abstained, Gerald Hayward. The reason, at least my feeling on the reason that they voted for it, and this isn't really a recommendation because you need 4 votes for a recommendation, and we only had 3 in the affirmative. But Commissioner Rigby changed because they felt that if the rezone were not approved, that it might end up being annexed into Heber, and then you'd have the 5 units to the acre scenario. So that was their concern mostly, I felt.
Okay, any questions for Doug before we go to the applicant? I had one on the, it stated that on the east it was bordered by the RA5. Is it not on the south
Go back
as well, south and the west?
Oh geez, I shouldn't have done it this way.
What'd you do?
Might be easier on the back there.
Probably is. Sorry, I probably got the map. Sorry, Doug. I can probably look at it.
Look right that far.
That back one, you just had it.
I wanted to see if it was.
No, that other one,
Went back,
the one that shows it in white,
There.
shows it the best. Well,
see,
yeah.
just that RA5 is just a strip.
On the east for sure. What is it on the south then? Of this.
I think it's A20.
Oh, okay. All right. So it doesn't go all the way to the 5 on the south.
Go to that white
We
one,
did
that
it
one
on-
shows
along
it
the
pretty
road.
good.
Oh, okay.
The white one?
Well, that one's okay. You got RA5
Well, the
here.
road.
This is 20, this is 20,
Okay.
this is 20 here, this is 5 here.
All right. Okay. I just want to make sure.
Is this ground part of the Heber City's annexation policy, what map that they're kicking around right now?
No, well, they've said that they will stop at the bypass.
Their agreement is so that worry,
Yeah. We've heard that before. So.
that worry isn't there if they honor their
Yeah.
commitment, but
Okay. Anything else for Doug? All right. Okay. I don't see Mr. or Mrs. Probst. Mr. Harris, I'm assuming you're here to speak on their behalf.
I am Ben Harris, here for Riley and Megan. We've obviously talked about a lot of the issues. One thing that Riley brought up as we met with the Planning Commission is the developer here has approved about halfway down to give the additional 35 feet for the bypass road because they don't have enough. But they are expecting Riley to go from about halfway down the property the rest of the way down to give up the other 35.
what do you mean, he halfway down into Riley's piece?
Yeah, so they'll give it here on this upper half. It would kick out this way.
Oh,
And then when you
okay.
get about halfway down, they want to kick it into his side and make up the 35 feet there. And so part of his concern with that is this being RA5, he gives that up all the way down. It's going to be hard for him to develop RA5 because he's losing part
Takes
of his
acreage
property.
away.
Yes. And so by annexing this in gives him a little bit more opportunity and to be able to get the 5 acres between the two, if he ever decides to go that route and continue on with it. Other than that, I think Doug highlighted on a lot of the items. I did pull the one map that we were talking about for septic in this area, and it shows probably, I think it comes across more like this, that half being suitable, and then the rest of it being somewhat suitable. I can't remember what the second item is, but
Are both of those dwellings there on septic, Doug, do we know? I'm assuming they are, aren't they?
these here.
Yeah.
According to Riley, the only utility that I believe is in the road is gas.
I get you. Okay.
So they're on wells?
Yep.
Yeah, well and septic.
Well, and
Septic, and that's what they would have to do here as well. The only thing they could pay, obviously power is there, but power and gas.
Does Riley have a basement in his house?
Yes.
And they don't have any water trouble?
Not that he's told me, and the only reason I know is because we put a cost together to go and do the electrical on it for him when he put it in. But I haven't heard of anything. I don't know that he has a sump pump. I haven't heard anything in regards to that, but he does have a
But he does have a basement.
So,
Because none of the other homes further west have basements.
Yeah, and from the groundwater map that Doug showed, I would guess these would be questionable to be able to do that as well.
And don't we have something in our ordinance that if they give up the ground for the road, we still recognize it as a buildable lot?
No, we used to do that, but now anything that's platted is a 5 acre minimum, regardless of.
Even if we have to condemn the road?
Yeah. It's different for lots of record. A lot of record is created by a condemnation.
That's what it is. I was thinking the same thing.
What about, talk to me a little bit more about this. So the subdivision that's in part of Heber City,
This one here,
they're giving 35 feet, but only halfway across?
halfway down that property line, yeah, the property line that runs.
And why are they, I guess that's something they worked out with Heber City, not to have to give the other 30 the rest of the way? Can we have that big of a dog leg in this type of, and I know this has nothing to do with this rezone, but we have, is there a dog leg already in that section of the bypass, or?
No, this has been an argument and discussion and everything for ever now. We've met with UDOT, we've met with everybody. The biggest challenge we have is if we don't get the right-of-way width, UDOT will never build the road.
Because I can say it's not even just half. I mean, if the transition and the curve on this speed of a road
coming down here and jog over?
down, we don't need just half to half. You need 3/4 and 3/4 to even make that work, even if we were okay with having the dog leg. I don't see where that.
Well, and I don't know if their plan is to have that road completely centered in the right of way, because if you offset that road to one side further to the right of way, and then you picked it up, you wouldn't have as big a dog leg.
They actually have to have it close to center because the right-of-way width has to do with clear space from a state highway. So they actually run into that problem of where it sits in.
Well, and then you got an offset over here.
We're offset once you get past Midway Lane again, right? Doesn't it jog over before it gets to Midway Lane?
Yes.
I've seen the map. It several times.
It cuts across that corner piece.
I don't know if you'd see it, like you might be able to pull up I know he had an image in there up the right of way.
Well, the thing about those parcels, we own all of the parcels.
Yeah, so we can do whatever we
A
want.
little bit of room to move.
Yeah.
It cuts across this corner when it then comes down. But there's a dog leg right there, a little bit of a disjoint.
There's almost a little dog leg drawn on that map.
Here?
Right there, yeah.
Well, you got to get around, make your loop to head.
We can't do it with half to half, and that's a big dog leg there.
This is almost a non-issue anymore.
Okay, so
Thanks, David.
any other questions for Mr. Harris on this?
Riley must have just bought this piece of property not too long ago.
He bought it, I think he's had it for at least 2 years. He didn't buy it, so I checked with him.
He didn't buy it with the back piece.
No, this is Sherman Giles.
Yeah, it's a Sherman.
Children's piece that he bought from them,
So the 20 acres where the house is, he bought from
Wayne, and then he bought this from the Giles.
Any other questions for our applicant before we open up a public hearing? Excuse me. Okay. We'll open up a public hearing on this item, the rezone request of a 20.5 acre parcel from A20 to A5. Any public comment on this item? Any public comment at all on this item? Seeing none, we'll go ahead and close the public hearing. Come back to the council for questions and action. Doug, on your conditions, if something were done here, did it say that it was automatically would be part of the south planning area? Did I see that somewhere? If approved, central planning area map and general plan should be readjusted to remove this parcel from yeah, okay. So it automatically goes into the different
That was
planning
one
area.
of the findings we had in the planning commission.
That was part of the
Because
planning.
if you're changing it, then you change it to fit the area it's in now.
Well, we'd want to make sure that it's different than the North Fields,
Right.
the central planning area.
Yeah.
Hey, so before you sit down, I'm just curious. If this were in the North Fields, just a few blocks to the north, this room would be packed. Yeah. Why do you think there's nobody here tonight?
I don't know. I guess they don't. If it wasn't advertised as North Fields, they probably didn't.
That would be
That's
my
on.
opinion. Not considered North Fields. It's in the same planning area, but it's South Fields instead of North Fields.
So talk to us about the intent of the central planning area. I mean, it talks, of course, you've already talked about it. It shows all the findings. The central planning area, there's a purpose for it. And so it's our decision to decide if it warrants enough, to pull it out of this area. Because the language is pretty strict in the central planning area that states the whole purpose of why it's there. And by pulling it out to RA5, it's going to change a lot of that.
There's plenty of guidance in the general plan in the central planning area to deny this, in my mind. The southern planning area has not nearly as much guidance. All I've got is that first bullet statement that says, with the determination that the concentration of septic tank drain fields shall not be greater than 1 per 5 acres to ensure that a violation of Heber Valley's underground water designation is pristine does not occur, the development code shall establish the minimum lot size in this planning area as 5 acres.
That's for the southern.
That's for the southern. There's very little guidance, but you will have other applicants coming in wanting to do this same thing further west. We've already had them calling and asking about rezoning it.
So way to the river, possibly.
That's my concern.
So here's my thought on it. I'll just throw it out and see what, my 2 cents is. I wouldn't do what the planning department did just because they're afraid that it could be annexed. And the city could try and annex this, but there's no way you can get 4 homes per acre on this because of the services and the water table, the soils and everything else. So I don't think I'd use that as a scare tactic. But I just want to make sure, I understand property rights and I'm all for it that way. I just want to make sure that we take into consideration that central planning area that it is a part of now and what it's going to do. Because eventually, if everybody just picks away at this, that whole thing will just be gone. So at what point do we decide we're going to stand our ground and who cares if it's a threat to be annexed into the city? I don't think that's really a threat. And so,
At what point does it go from a southern planning area to the central planning area? What's that line?
Central to southern, yeah. Because if you look at that map from 2002, it looks a lot different than it does today. And after this, it's going to even look more different. And if the guy from the west comes in, it's just going to eventually disappear south of Midway Lane. Yep. Is that what we want? Let's just do it all right now then, rather than piece by piece. If it's not, let's stand our ground. That's kind of my thinking.
I think if you go down and look at it, there's a clear differential between that along Midway Lane and what this piece is. This piece has got a wheel line on it. They've raised alfalfa. It doesn't have the characteristics of a high water table.
different. It's different. I think it's evident by who's here tonight to protest it.
Well, Wayne,
That's-
Wayne's had a water tape, sprinkler line on it.
Yeah.
So if it's better in the southern, then let's change it, but let's change everything right now and do the areas that, so we don't go through this.
We don't have anybody else making application currently.
Well, yeah, that's one way we could look at it. Or, as I looked at it today, I went down there today and looked at it. I figure everything south of 650 south.
650, that's kind of more
got a different characteristic, and that's closer to
really does.
Midway Lane because of the water table.
So you're saying everything north of 650?
When we went to 650 south with
Central, because it's high water table, everything else.
with the piece next to it, I understand the west is closer to the river.
Well,
but
we went to it because of they already had improvements, and when we was doing the dry houses down below on Castroville Road, we just went all the way around it.
I thought we'd gone further. I was surprised when I saw this. So I thought we'd already put it in the file.
Well, we went here because I went there because Wayne was here and he wanted.
Yeah, he was on that committee.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
I
he was
thought we
on the
went
committee,
a
wasn't he?
little further than his. I
he was on the
surprised.
committee, wasn't he?
He
I
was.
remember that now. I didn't.